All right. Good evening, everyone. Dr. Randall Gates, board certified chiropractic neurologist, also a chiropractic physician at Gates Way to Health. And I'm just going to turn the camera angles a little bit. Okay, there we go. And tonight, as many of you know, I do lives late in the evening based on what I'm reading. And tonight I was reading about concussions and the recovery thereafter. There is more and more exciting news coming about regarding concussion. There's a lot of new scientific literature documenting different imaging findings that are being seen in concussed patients versus non-concussed patients. And while there's no uniform accepted imaging for something like chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is the disease commonly affecting, let's just say, athletes who suffer a lot of head trauma, there is new data coming out showing that maybe you'll be able to tell if you're losing density of neurons in the brain in certain areas. So that's exciting. Tonight, I'm talking about an article out of Brain Behavior. It was published in December of 2018, where they took 53 football players, I believe, and they did basically a brain MRI on them before the season. They did some testing in terms of how fast they were processing different cognitive tasks. And then if they suffered a concussion, which 13 of them did, then they put them back through another imaging series. Now, the imaging they did in this study was MRI imaging with diffusion tensor imaging. I'll probably do more talks on diffusion tensor imaging, but it's a really exciting modality looking at how the white matter tracts in the brain, think of them as the wires, can be selectively damaged with a concussion or repetitive mild traumatic brain injuries. So what they saw is that the brain was diffusely injured in these concussed patients, but they also did repeat MRIs, I believe at 2 weeks, and no, they did the MRI at 2 days, 2 weeks, and 2 months post concussion. And what they saw is that the brain healed in a posterior to anterior fashion, which is not entirely surprising because most of the head trauma happens at the front of the brain. And they saw that the white matter tracts in the back of the brain started to heal much faster than the ones in the front part of the brain. Why is that important? Well, first of all, at 2 months, a lot of them still had structural abnormalities based on these diffusion tensor imaging studies in their frontal areas at 2 months. And this raises a question of return to play, because I get this question a lot. It's a very contentious issue right now. The whole concussion topic is contentious just because, you know, what it means to someone's livelihood and what it may mean to the element of team sports. So we don't really know yet what these findings mean in terms of if you still have white matter abnormalities at 2 months, but your neuropsychological tests are all normal. What does that mean in your long-term outcome? We don't really have those studies yet, but it is concerning and it is something to pay attention to. So if you're an athlete, if you're a parent, a loved one of an athlete, or someone who suffered a concussion and you're not sure whether you should go back to play, maybe watch my other videos on concussion, like our Facebook page, subscribe, all those things that you're supposed to say at the end of these things, to get greater understanding. And also, I love your feedback. So if you want me to talk about something, let me know. I'm always digging into the literature pretty frequently, and so I'd like to answer your questions. So I'm going to end the live. And again, Dr. Randall Gates, board certified chiropractic neurologist, also chiropractic physician at Gates Way to Health, 833 Dr. Gates. You can access our webpage. It's gateswaytohealth.com. Again, that's gateswaytohealth.com. And I think that pretty well covers it. Brain Behavior 2018. The lead author's last name was Cuban. Okay, thanks everybody.